Thomas Goldkamp here with Derek Tyson reporting live from Ben Hill Griffin Stadium for GatorCountry.com. Florida just lost to Alabama 38-10 tonight, their third straight loss to the Crimson Tide. Derek, what were some of your initial impressions of the game?
Well, clearly Trent Richardson had a huge game, 181 yards rushing, and Florida just couldn't tackle him all game. They had a spot there in the beginning of the second half where they were able to contain him a little bit, but overall he was just much more physical than Florida had anticipated, I believe, and just couldn't bring him down. And that's ended up wearing down the defense, and they obviously in the second half they just couldn't do anything. What do you think about the defense, how they played?
Well, I think you're spot on. The tackling was definitely an issue, which has kind of been the case for Florida in the past against Alabama. It's an area that really Florida hadn't struggled at all until this game, and you thought maybe they might struggle a little bit, but still there were a lot of encouraging signs coming in that, maybe Florida would be able to slow down this Alabama running game. Just didn't happen. It's not good for Florida because they were able to come in and move the ball on offense. Started off really, really well with a 65-yard touchdown pass to Andre DeBose. But when you allow the other team to come and drive right back down the field without stopping them at all, it really kind of takes the momentum away from your team.
It really does. And then obviously with John going down late in the first half, that completely deflated the offense. They weren't able to do much. Driscoll coming in, if this is your first real game experience, I mean, he's gotten some mop-up duty in some of the other games and some spot duty in the Kentucky game, but this is his first real action against a tough SEC West Division opponent. It was tough for him, and you could see that. They were disguising some of their blitzes, and I think in the run game it really hurt Florida because he's not able to check to some of the other plays. If Alabama moves their defensive line at all, they bring an extra guy in the box. They weren't able to do some of that stuff, and I think that really hurt Florida. And they obviously have some work to do before LSU next week.
Yeah, I think the timing of John Brantley going down really, really hurt Florida too as well. They were at the point in the game where it was really a turning point. They were down 14 points. Really needed to come out strong to start the second half, and the defense did. The defense did its part. They came up with 3 straight stops. But when you're taking your backup quarterback and putting him into the game in a situation where he's not comfortable, he's in front of 90,000 people with a ton of pressure on, undefeated record on the line, just not an ideal situation. So it'll be interesting to see if Brantley's out for an extended period of time, how Florida will react with Driscoll, because Will Muschamp said after the game he's not sure the extent of Brantley's injury, but based on what we saw, Florida could be looking at having to play Jeff Driscoll a little bit more.
Obviously, and some of the Florida receivers were able to step up tonight. They hadn't played too well up until this point. Andre DeBose starts off that game, like you said, with a 65-yard touchdown. He had another catch, and he did drop one in the middle where he got a pretty good lick from the safety. And then Deontay Thompson had a catch, and so it was nice to see some production from the receivers. Got nothing out of the run game, and I think that's partly the back's fault, but also partly the offensive line fault. The offensive line didn't have their best game. I know there's a few snaps that Jonathan Harrison had issues with, and then the protection kind of broke down there a few times. So there's definitely some work to be done for LSU.
Right, and with when Florida came in, they were really confident about the running game too. So that's going to be an area to really focus on and watch this week. We'll listen to the coaches, we'll listen to the players, see what kind of adjustments they make, because they've got to make some. If that running game isn't available against Alabama, it's certainly not going to be available against LSU. And so Florida's going to have to find a way to either run between the tackles or develop some kind of offense outside of just Chris Rainey and Jeff Demps outside, and that's going to have to be a real focus going forward.
If you're Charlie Weiss, what do you do with Jeff Driscoll next week? How do you take this week and approach it?
Well, Will Muschamp actually said he was pretty pleased with Driscoll's play. Despite the fact that he came in and kind of struggled to move the ball. Muschamp put a lot of that on the offensive line, like he did against Kentucky last week, and said, no quarterback's going to be able to operate if they don't give him time. And one of the key drop-offs from Brantley to Driscoll wasn't the play at quarterback, it was the play of the offensive line. The unit just didn't look as cohesive with Driscoll behind center. There were some real issues with communication. Like you said, they're not able to check out of some of the looks that they want to get into. So I think Florida's going to have to keep it simple against LSU for Driscoll, assuming John Brantley can't go. And they're going to have to develop some kind of running game.
I agree with you. And the good news for Florida is you got a chance to see what Florida is capable of in the first 2 quarters. They were hanging in there. Obviously, that interception for a touchdown that Brantley threw, that's kind of an unfortunate thing where the guy just got blocked right into the pass. But other than that, they were playing well. They were moving the ball, and it's a bad break for Florida that Brantley goes down. But I think you saw what Charlie Weiss, and when he has time to put together a nice offensive game plan, what they're capable of doing. And it's like I said, it's unfortunate that Brantley went down, and now you have to kind of move forward, kind of simplifying things for Driscoll to make it so he's not overwhelmed with information.
So what do you think Florida needs to do going into this week?
Well, like I said, I think they're going to have to simplify things a little bit for Driscoll. And I don't want to say oversimplify, because you still got to run your offense and you got to win the game. But you're going to have to find something in the run game, whether it's bringing Mike Gillislee in and giving him some reps as your bigger back, because LSU has the speed, like Alabama, to cut off those outside runs. But they're going to have to get, and the offensive line is going to have to get better. They played well up until now, but they didn't have their best game. And then defensively, LSU has a strong, powerful running game like Alabama does, so they're going to have to work on tackling, and that's clearly got to get better. And but overall, there's some things to take out of this game, I think, to be encouraged with. But there's work to be done before they face these next few opponents.
Reporting live from the Swamp, I'm Thomas Goldkamp with Derek Tyson. Stay tuned to GatorCountry.com for more post-game coverage.